and welcome to We Women Want. This is our weekly show where we discuss issues pertaining to women. It could be, laws, it could be domestic violence, it could be women at work-life balance, relationships, health, everything is on the table. But today I have with me a very special guest. I have Radhika Vaz. She is a stand-up comic, a woman really in a man's world. Of course, there are other women stand-up comics, but this world, being a stand-up comic, takes a whole lot. In fact, I'm going to be asking her how she fares and how it is breaking a glass ceiling in a way. She's also an author. She's written a memoir, very aptly called Unladylike. I mean, aptly as in because nothing is off the table. You have taken what is sacred, what is talked about in hushed whispers, and you have spoken about it very freely, candidly, and given your own unique perspective.
Well, first of all, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah,
it's always good to see you. The word, I think unladylike is just, it's a little old-fashioned word. I don't think women are tolerating hearing it anymore. But I do feel like when people like you and I were growing up, being called unladylike was, the finger wagging and the
finger wagging,
how
yes.
dare. So I just felt like for my generation, that was just how you, if you expressed yourself a certain way, you were unladylike. And that is certainly the way that I had been expressing myself ever since I was a small child. Yeah, and nothing's changed, so.
Yeah, the children are meant to be seen, not heard, and girls not even seen.
Not even seen.
So we have,
We really, so any of us who came out loud and little bit, were,
So you manage. But, we've had a conversation when your book came out. But since then, I've seen, of course, you're doing your regular shows.
Yeah.
You're also now very prolific on the social media, as is the need of the hour.
Recently prolific.
Yeah,
I was sort of like this very, I wasn't nervous about social media, but I just didn't know how to interact with it. I didn't know what to post and what would be interesting. And I think, again, there is a little bit of a generational remove for me. I'm not as comfortable the way some of my other colleagues are. But ever since I taped my last show and decided to just put it out there, I pulled a whole bunch of reels and I put them on Instagram thinking, whatever, so my few thousand followers will watch it. And then it just, it caught a little bit of fire and I'm kind of excited about that.
No, your reels are doing very well, in fact, but I'm very intrigued by the title, The Mistress of Mid.
Yes, so the Mistress of Mid was, I got help with naming my show. First, I was going to call it How I Met My Mother-in-Law. Because a huge swath, my muse is my husband. I make so much fun of marriage and of him and about relationships and everything.
But he's so adorable and having...
That's only if you're not married to him.
Okay.
But yes, he is very lovely. But also, How I Met My Mother-in-Law was sort of also a little bit of the experience that I had dating, then meeting this person, then going from there into, getting married. So I did have to meet my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law and I could not be more different, I always say she's Jat and I'm feminist. So that's sort of like, but oddly enough, we seem to have a nice vibe. And so I wanted to talk about this. Like this for me was what this show was going to be about. And so I first called it How I Want to Meet My Mother-in-Law. Then I called it Jat Bahu. But then a lot of people thought it was in Hindi and it wasn't. So then I went back to... But then finally, when we put it on YouTube, a friend of mine and I were talking about it, and she said, look, you talk about middle age, middle marriage, and everything in the sort of, because I'm in the middle right now, I feel like my youth is behind me, there's old age left to come. So she said, call it the Mistress of Mid. And apparently, the kids, anything that's like average is now mid. It's like if someone looks at something and they're kind of mid, that they mean it's like it's average. So I'm like, oh, that's what I am, kind of average. So we just had fun with that and it's Mistress of Mid. And it's on YouTube and it's free. Anyone can watch it.
And people have been watching it. I've seen your likes and followers.
Yes, so people have been watching it. I'm so surprised and happy.
No, because is it also one reason why you get a lot of likes and all is you're talking to people, and you're raising issues that are very everyday and you find something to say, a bucket bath. You spoke about women and how bucket baths, you've spoken about patriarchy, you've spoken about old age, middle age, dating, everything.
I think for a change, I'm actually relating to people instead of being like at this slight remove, because I think also sometimes when you lead with, I am a feminist and I believe in this and I believe in that, sometimes you put, some people think, oh, I don't understand what she's saying.
Correct.
But now I think they understand what I'm saying.
No. And also, this whole thing of taking yourself too seriously, you don't do that.
Yeah.
And I think today nobody does that.
No, you can't do that. And especially if you're calling yourself a comedian, I think you have to take yourself without any seriousness at all. If you take anything personally or seriously, you sort of that's not really the point then.
But are there some issues? Because having said that, I
Yeah.
want to correct myself. There are some issues people do not joke about.
Oh, absolutely,
So,
yeah.
for instance, in today's world, religion is
Yeah.
a big taboo.
Yes.
So, do you address issues,
You
politics
know,
and religion?
Politics and religion, and the thing is, my style of comedy doesn't actually ever go there. I'm not interested in it as a subject for humor. I'm very interested in how it affects my life and the life of others. And in a more serious way, I read about it and I probably process it. But for my comedy, I'm very autobiographical. That's always been the case. I find humor in my own life and the people in my life. So I've not purposefully stayed away from politics and religion. It's just not been my thing.
To go into that.
Yeah.
But having said that, then I think you also talk a lot about social issues,
Yeah.
relationships. That's
Yes.
really the thing.
Yes.
So, how do you see today's generation? I mean, in a way, we are also the middle generation.
Yeah, we
between,
are.
Our parents and this, I don't know what to call this, millennials.
Well, we're the
Gen
odd ones who
Alpha.
came of age. Well, we came of age and then we got the internet.
Okay.
We weren't born with it. So we are sort of in the middle there.
Right.
Because the internet has changed everything for everybody. The level of exposure, the amount of learning, how quickly you find out about things, that's all changed.
The rules of
The
engagement.
world has become so small now.
So, how do you see this whole, swipe right and swipe left kind of dating vis-a-vis what we had? We had Madan looking at Bharat matrimonials and Shadi nahi hui, or you hit 21, what's going to happen?
I think a lot of things have stayed the same. I talk to a lot of young people all the time. There's still a lot of pressure to get married. That has not changed.
Okay.
However, I think because in general, more women are becoming independent and they are creating lives for themselves. They have more role models. They're seeing more women who don't get married, who don't have children. So their lives are different from how ours were, but certain pressures have remained the same. But like I said, the internet's come in and it has changed things. And I don't judge. I mean, sometimes I wonder how much fun we might have had with swiping left and swiping right. But I'm just saying, I don't think it's as much fun as I imagine. The grass is always greener on the other side of the, right? I have friends who are like, oh my God, this is so tedious and it's so difficult. And the kind of people that, you get to go out with. I'm like, yeah, but I think we also had to go out with a couple of frogs. So I don't know if it's that different. It's just the platform has changed.
No, also I think in a way that because there's so much choice,
Yeah.
it adds to the confusion rather than helps you arrive at a decision.
I think we think there's a lot of choice, but actually it's kind of like, walking into a bar, there are 500 guys there, but really are all of them meant for you? No. So it's sort of the same thing, but different. You know what I mean? I don't think it's easier. I hope it's not harder. But I don't know. I don't even have kids, so I have no, really close sort of like idea of how we should talk to some of your young producers after the show.
That's true.
Talking to you, young lady.
She's
but yeah, we should find out what's going on.
No, but also what I find talking to young kids
Yeah.
is because now women are so, they are very keen to be financially independent.
Yes.
That's priority versus marriage.
Yes.
So, in terms of kids are really not the be all and end all anymore.
No.
Also, and we can have kids without the husband.
Yes.
Is that a good thing? Because there was some sense in the old traditional family setup. How do you see society now?
I think it's a really good thing. I mean, for me, I'm one of those people who really believes that I got married. I say it in my show, actually. I always say that I got married because I was born in the wrong era. I was born in an era where you got married and you had children, and that was what you did, because if you didn't do it, then people looked at you a little bit sideways. But I just think that girls today don't have to do that anymore. They really don't, because it's now a choice. It's not a necessity. And I think they're being told that, they're seeing that in popular culture, they're seeing that in their friends circle, they're seeing it at work, they're seeing more women our age who aren't married, who don't have children, and that these people are perfectly happy. I think that it's okay, because there's so many studies have come out saying that marriage is only good for men. That it's actually not great for women's health. And also then the independence, the financial independence. How is a girl to be financially independent if she has to put her husband and his career first? have children, get out of the workforce, come back into the workforce. That's all very difficult to navigate.
No, interesting points. I'm going to also. I'm very keen to know how you choose your topics, how you
Yeah.
got into this stand up. But before that,
Yeah.
there is a controversy that is currently doing the rounds. You must have heard about the 370 rupees biryani,
Yes.
and how he wanted to vasool karo. This
Yes.
is about a stand-up comic who was asked by a member of the audience who related a story on how he took this girl he met at an
Yeah.
app and he bought her this biryani for 370. Then she wanted to get home and he was saying ek kiss bhi nahi, and he explains how he tried to grope her, and as someone said that, is this you're trying to vasool karo your 370 biryani, and how
Yeah.
much for the kiss and how much for further. And I believe the boy has been thrown out from his job.
Yeah.
The audience member who raised this issue. So the awareness that is happening, and the comic was laughing. Who was hosting the show, I've forgotten his name. He
Yeah.
did not censure the guy.
Yeah.
So
He didn't censor him. His friends around him all clapping and laughing. They were hysterical with laughter. They found it funny that a young man believed that he was owed physical intimacy in exchange for buying somebody dinner.
correct.
And that he wanted it so much that he put his hands on this girl.
Yeah.
Now, I am disgusted by that. And I think many people like you and I are probably horrified. It is frightening that this kind of thing that he felt brave enough to say this out loud, and that the comic sitting on stage did not call him out on it, that nobody around him called him out on it.
The audience was all men. I didn't see any women in the
I
clip
didn't see a
saw.
single female, and I doubt there were any, because, I'll tell you one thing. I think certain comics, finally, you self-select. You're not going to find a lot of those young guys at my show.
Correct.
Because they know I'm not going to be talking to them about what fun it is to go out and grope a girl. Like, that's not going to be my take on it.
Yeah.
So they're not going to come to my show. They're going to go where they're welcome. And sadly, that is where they were welcome. Now, I am thrilled that the backlash has not been just from content creators and influencers. It's any young woman who has access to the internet are throwing videos up there, and they are so irate and so disgusted, and they're all coming out and are like, keep your biryani, bro. We don't buy.
Yeah.
And I do think that it's amazing to see that these girls are fighting back, And that this young woman was like, no, dude, you bought me biryani and that's great, but no, I'm still not interested in you.
Correct.
And that is the risk you take when you buy biryani, young men.
I think a little more transparent. The rules of engagement are changing. The apps and all are making interaction easier in terms of you don't have to go through the filters of a grandmother and a mother vetting it out. But there are some rules that need to be worked out still.
Yeah.
I'm going to come back to you, but stay with us after a quick break. Hello and welcome back to We Women Want. I have with me Radhika Vaz, stand-up comedian, and of course someone who's doing really well on YouTube and Instagram. And I think your comments, just your very matter-of-fact observations on life, on relationships, on just being a woman and dealing with breaking glass ceilings in a man's world. It's just getting a lot of traction. So how do you choose your topics?
So I think for me, what I do is I just start writing. I have a bit of a discipline about the fact that I have to write, a few times a week, whether I have whether I'm writing for a show or whether I'm just journaling, or I have to sit down and actually put pen to paper. I'm old school like that. I actually write long form, and I'll just keep writing about stuff that's happening, because for me, like I said, my humor comes so much from my own life. So I have to sort of just observe or record what's going on. And then as it comes close to collecting material to actually write a show, I'll just start pulling stuff from there. And as I'm going about that, certain things start to amuse me. And usually that's the first sort of step. I have to find it funny. I have to be entertained by the notion of talking about whatever it is, my marriage or dating when I was a younger person, or...
You're pretty brutal on your husband. How does he take it? As you said, the family takes it well, but...
I think my husband has a good sense of humor. That's his superpower. And he has a good sense of humor. He also understands that I am talking about society in general, but that I'm using him and myself and our relationship as sort of like
Which is always the case.
Which
You
is
have to
always the
make it
case.
personal.
So, sometimes I will maybe exaggerate something even to make a bigger point, and I may use him as sort of the scapegoat, but he knows it's not a personal thing. But yeah, I mean, it does, I guess, take some amount of courage, so I'll give him that to remain married to a female stand-up comic.
And is your audience more women or men?
Always more women.
Always more women.
More women. Any men, they are usually brought along by their wives and girlfriends or sisters or family. Recently, I've got a few guys who've come there on their own, but they're all coming now through social media. So yeah, I hope to see a few more guys there. It'll be nice for them to see a female perspective.
Yeah, so do you, any commentary or anything do you do from a man's perspective? Because, there's always the other side. Or do you address that somehow?
No, I can't, because I'm not a guy. And I feel like they have enough. Like, the male perspective is out there. I mean, look at what we're dealing with right now. Like, there's so many men in comedy, so many men in entertainment. We're only dealing with their perspective. So I can only deal with my perspective. And my perspective is always going to be coming from where I am in that.
But you have a brother, you have men friend, you have a husband.
No, I don't. I'm an only child.
You don't, but I mean, in terms of
I have male friends,
which helps you see their point of view. So
I guess
not want to talk about it because they're also average guys. Every guy is not a predator or looking to vasool karo.
I mean, I think I can always understand where they're coming from, but it doesn't enter my writing space. Let's put it that way. I haven't ever written a script, for example, of, or maybe actually I have written scripts where I've written characters that are men, and in those moments I will look at it from that character's perspective. So yeah, it does help to have male friends and family members, but as a comedian, I haven't done that.
So as you're not really into politics, but I just wanted to ask you if there's any woman politician that you would like to talk about in a, whether in a comic way or a good way or a bad way.
Yeah. I'm almost afraid to answer these questions. Okay. I think there are so many. I mean, Kangana Ranaut is now a politician.
Right.
And I find her quite fascinating. Also her trajectory and how she built herself up and the kind of anger she seems to get from both men and women. I find her a fascinating character. Yeah.
And what is your take on this current generation? I think let's call them Gen Alpha. These are
the really young ones.
The really young ones,
yeah,
who are growing up and they don't even want relationships.
Yeah.
They are they are looking for compartments. For friendship I have so and so, for sex I have so and so, for advice I go to so and so. It's a crazy way of living. They don't want to buy a house. They want no commitments. They don't want to settle down.
I don't know. I feel like we've had a few of those people in every generation, people who don't want the commitments, don't want to label
no labels,
their gender, their sexuality, their relationship status. I want to give them a chance. I want to see how this pans out. I'm curious. I'm always very all for a different way of looking at things, because I don't have kids, for example. I'm a married woman who doesn't have children. And that was a choice I consciously made. I had very few role models. But I have a few friends who are younger than me. And a couple of them have reached out and said, the reason we've decided not to have kids is because we saw you and Deepak. We saw you guys navigating a slightly different way of life. Like the way you guys live, it just seemed, oh, okay, they're not having kids, I guess we don't have to have kids. And so I'm not saying I'm some great role model, but a couple of my friends, younger friends, felt like they had something in front of them that didn't make them so nervous about taking a very basic decision. So I'm always for people who try and do things a little differently. I want to see where it ends, what happens.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting.
And do you have any views on nuclear families versus joint families?
I mean, I'm lucky enough to sort of have experienced or at least seen a little bit of
Yeah,
both.
because we have seen both our
Yeah,
generation.
yeah. I have only seen it from being a married person's perspective, because my husband comes from that world of joint families. And, I grew up in a hardcore nuclear family because my dad and mom were in the Air Force. On top of being anyway nuclear family, they also were like separated from extended family. So
Correct.
I really grew up very differently. I think they both have obviously their pros and cons, I like the idea that we have all this support and sort of, even if you're fighting, you still come together to help each other kind of feeling of a joint family. But then a nuclear family also makes you focus so much on other relationships, like your friends. And I feel like that chosen family idea, which is so big for for the younger generations. It's important because now you're being, anyway, look, you have to go where the jobs are, where the work is. So you're anyway being taken out of, whether it's a joint family or nuclear family, you're being separated from your people.
Correct.
You have to learn to live like that. That is the world we're in now. So I think both have their benefits. I certainly learned to really develop and hold on to really close friendships. So I have this big chosen family where I have these really close men and women friends, mostly women, and they are my family too.
So another thing we take very seriously in India is the caste system. Religion, caste. Have you ever ventured into that area for your?
I have not ventured into caste and religion, and part of the reason is because I haven't studied enough about it. I was born into the Roman Catholic community. I'm not a religious person, but I was born into a minority community, and I have seen how that can be. I also know for a fact that many communities, whether it's caste related or religion related, the moment you're a minority, and when I say minority, I don't necessarily always mean in numbers. It can also mean you're the minority when it comes to getting the jobs, moving up in the corporate ladder, that. When you've experienced any kind of bigotry, it's definitely a thing you have to have experienced very much firsthand to talk about it. I know it's there, and I'm not pretending ever that it's not. I know I'm also a little bit privileged because of how I grew up.
No,
it's
that's
all
true.
there. Yeah.
But like when you do your shows or something, one question I want to ask you is, do you dress up for men or women? Because I noticed in one of your shows, someone commented on your scarf, and a woman.
Yeah.
And you said, I was waiting for your feedback.
Yes.
So
yeah, I think
do women dress up for other women more than for men?
I don't know. I mean, like, I think there's definitely the male and female gaze, and I'm 53 now. I've been married for so many years. I do think that also plays a little bit into it. I do want my fashionable girlfriends to think I'm fashionable. I do think I dress a little bit for women.
I think we all do because, and for you, what is, if I say define sexy, how would you define it?
I mean, I think I look pretty good right now. What do you think? Listen, I took a lot of trouble to put this outfit together. I did it for you, Priya. Okay, so firstly, dressing very specifically for you today. And my idea of sexy is comfortable. Like, I find like when a woman looks very comfortable, I find that very attractive, And so I just think that if you're dressing for just that you're I find comfort sexy. And I think as I get older, I'm going to find it sexier.
I agree with you on that. But I think, sexy is also the attitude.
Yes.
I remember when I was single for a very long time. I'm still not married, but so my main fear was walking into a room alone. So my mother told me, she said, walk in with your attitude.
Yeah.
And I remember I was carrying that normal sling purse, evening bag, and she said, why don't you there was a rucksack. She said, why don't you hold that?
Oh, I love your mother. I love that. That's such great advice.
So she's walk in with your attitude, and that's. So, these are the stuff that
absolutely
we grew up listening to, which, because we were also navigating a world where if you're not with
with a man,
where's the trophy?
Like I always say that, we've unfortunately curated a society where a single woman is unfortunate at best and unsafe at worst.
Well said, yeah.
And again, if I have never felt that way, or if there's anyone listening as a single woman who's never felt that way, it's likely that you had a mother like yours or a family like like ours where they didn't put that on us, and that's privilege.
Yeah.
But not all girls get to feel that, and that is why we have this deep-rooted misogyny, and that is why boys think that they can pay for chicken biryani and get away with wanting more.
No, absolutely right. My last question to you is also, we've seen a lot of cases which are now coming out because it was always prevalent, abuse, harassment because of dowry or just, gaslighting. It doesn't have to be physical.
Yeah.
Women are now coming out or being more this thing, but they're still family that say, chalo, adjust kar lo. This is. So what is the red flag? Adjust kab tak karo? Kahan karo?
Yeah. I think the red flag is the first time it's mentioned.
Okay.
If you're talking about dowry specifically, I think that's it. The moment it comes up, it's over.
Okay.
Because that's basically telling a person, a woman that, and her family, that I am better than her, and so I should get compensated in some way for marrying her.
Got it.
And that is the red flag of the season. Like, no more red flags needed. I think what's unfortunate with that particular practice of dowry, and I've been reading up on it recently a lot, I think we all have because it's in sort of the news, is that sometimes, unfortunately, it is also a status for the girl's family to say ki, we can afford anything, ask us for anything. And that is still a little bit there. So you're already putting your kid in harm's way by being those types of people. Nobody should be asking for it. Nobody should be giving it. And the red flag is the first time it comes up.
Fair enough. So these are the things that one should watch out for really in terms of relationships.
Yeah.
But Radhika, thank you so much for this conversation, and we're going to keep watching your shows online and as well as in person. But thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here.
Thank you.
For more such videos, subscribe to the Newsx YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.